Alright, I have another deck tech for you. This time, it's still for a heroic aggro deck because I really like playing those. But it's a blue-white heroic deck, and this deck is pretty fun to play with, not as much fun to play against. There's certain cards in here that can make playing against this deck a nightmare, and when I have to play against those cards, I get upset. So, the land base for this is 12 plains, 9 islands, and also a Temple of Enlightenment. Because I had one, so I threw it in there, and it helps with the scry, so I can, adjust my draws and stuff to make sure I'm drawing the best thing that I can for that point. Alright, so the creature base is a little bit different than the red-white heroic deck I showed earlier, but it has quite a few of the same creatures. It includes 4 Favored Hoplite, and they're just really good 1-drops for 1/2, and then they have that heroic ability with the +1/+1 and prevent all damage on this turn, which is really awesome, especially for a 1-drop. I also include a full 4 Akroan Skyguards. The flying is great. It makes it it just makes it definitely worth it with that heroic trigger. I also only include 3 Phalanx Leaders. Because I got a couple other creatures in here that are a lot better, and 2 for a 1/1 is not the greatest even with its huge heroic upside in this deck, and so that's why I only have the 3 of those. Because it was blue-white, that opened me up to a couple different creatures too, like the Battlewise Hoplite, and this card's awesome. It's a 2/2 for 2, and it also has its heroic ability as a +1/+1 counter, and you get to scry 1, which is awesome, and it helps your draws, especially later in the game. It is great to have. And I also include 4 Fabled Heroes. This card, although it does cost 3 mana and 1 and 2 double white, it is great. It is a 2/2, and it has a heroic of +1/+1, but it has double strike, and that can be really awesome against other decks. It can really blow them out with that card. I also include 2 Thassa's God of the Sea. I'm debating on taking this out. It is very slow for this deck, and on turn 3 you're going to want to be dropping something different than Thassa, either a threat or targeting creatures with spells. So it's a little slow, but the scry ability is mainly what it is in here for, and that can really help, especially later in the game and stuff. So it probably needs to come out, but it's in there for now. I also include 3 Ephara's Enlightenment. This is it targets, you can put it back in your hand and target a creature again, especially later in the game when you don't have a lot of things to do with mana. This is a great way to do that. And it gives your creature +1/+1 counter on it. So it's targeting, it gets an extra counter, and it has flying, which makes your creature evasive. If it's not, it's really, really good. I also include 3 Triton Tactics, 1 blue mana to target 2 creatures and give them +0/+3. So it's just really good against big big attackers. You can blow them out and have your creature live, and hopefully their creature die. And you get to untap those creatures. So it can be a really big blowout, and when you've attacked everything, you can Triton Tactics 2 of your creatures, and you have blockers now. It's really great. I also include 2 Ordeal of Thassas. These work great to put more counters on your creatures and target your creatures, and you get to draw 2 cards once you get to sacrifice it, which is really awesome, especially in this deck. Drawing things in any aggro deck is really good. I also have 2 God's Willing. The scry ability is really useful, and the targeting is what it is mainly used for. So that's also good. I include 2 Aqueous Forms. These are purely to make things unblockable, so when you have a big, huge guy, and you throw one of these on there, not only does it trigger the heroic, it also makes it unblockable and a huge threat. So this can be big game-ending thing. And you get a scry whenever this creature attacks, which is really great. Fate Foretold, I have 2 of these in the deck. They give you, you get to draw a card, it targets a creature, and then when it leaves, you also get to draw a card. So drawing cards can help you get that card advantage you need, and you can set things up with the scry's abilities from your other cards, so it can make it a lot better. Now, the final 4 cards in this deck are the card I hate playing against. It is such an awesome card in this deck, it just sucks to play against it. I have 4 copies of Hidden Strings. Now this is 2 mana, 1 colorless and 1 blue, but what it does is you get to tap or untap a target permanent, and then you get to tap or untap another target permanent. So that's 2 target permanents you can tap or untap. So that's 2 heroic triggers you can attack or tap on your creatures, creating 2 blockers if you use it on your opponent's turn. Oh, it's a sorcery, so you have to use it on your turn, but still. It also comes, so you can, even if your creature is untapped, you can tap it. You can untap it and keep it untapped, or you can attack and then play this card and untap your creatures and have blockers. And it also has this keyword on it called Cipher, which means you can put it on one of your creatures, and whenever that creature deals player damage, combat damage to the player, the spell triggers and gets played again. So you throw this on one of your flying creatures, or you throw this on one of your unblockable creatures, and your opponent now has to handle 2 heroic triggers every time they get hit. And it just creates monster boats and ships that are unsinkable, and it is, it's awful to play against, but it makes it a lot of fun to play this deck. So, let me know what you think about this deck. Comment below any ideas or suggestions you have on what could make this better. Like this video and subscribe for more.